Mama, and I'd like to teach you how to make starter for sourdough bread. What we're going to do is we're going to start with 3/4 of a cup of organic rye flour. Put this in the cup. And 1.5 cups of warm water. You must make sure that your water is non-chlorinated. Then I'm going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon of yeast. And then I'm going to mix. After I'm done mixing, I will cover it with a cloth and leave it on the table for 12 hours. And then I will add in a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 parts water to 1 part flour every 12 hours. And I will allow it to ferment for about 4 or 5 days. Then I put it into the refrigerator covered with the cloth. This is fine. It's not completely smooth, but this is fine for our first 12 hours. And then we'll mix it again. We just cover it with one of these nice soft cloths and leave it out on the counter for 12 hours, and it will rise and fall, and then we will continue to feed it for about 7 days. And that's it. That's how you make starter. So check back when we use our starter to make sourdough bread. It's going to be delicious. Hi, I'm Johanna, the cooking mama, and today I want to teach you how to make sourdough bread. Sourdough is this very interesting, kind of gross looking mixture that I make with yeast and flour and water, and we let it ferment for like over a week until it gets really stinky. So I have the sourdough starter here, and what I will do is I'll use most of it but not all of it, and that'll keep just enough bacteria inside of the container so that I can feed it with a little bit more flour and a little bit more water, and I'll stir it up and it will continue to ferment for next time. And you can literally do it this way and have this for a lifetime. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of yeast to a cup of warm water, and I keep my yeast in a container and in the freezer to keep it nice and fresh. And now I have a little bit of honey, about 2 tablespoons of honey that I just add to my warm water and my yeast, and I give it a little stir. And I just leave it like this until it dissolves and bubbles up a little bit, about 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add 2 cups of my sourdough starter to my KitchenAid with the dough hook. So now I'm going to call over my lovely assistant JJ. JJ, come over here. And JJ is going to measure out for me, using the dip and sweep method, 7 cups of flour. We're going to ultimately add 9 cups of flour, but let's start out with 7 cups of flour. Go ahead, Jay. Okay, so now JJ over here has added for us, how many cups?
7.
7 cups of flour. Now come and take a look at our yeast. So we have got 2 tablespoons of yeast and a cup of warm water. And we're going to add that. So now we have that and our kosher salt. 2 tablespoons of kosher salt because we're making a good bit of bread. And then 2.5 cups of cold water. We put it on slow so that the flour doesn't get all over the place and get us all messy. Add 2 more cups of flour. And then after that I move it to the dough bowl and we do our first rising. And our first rising takes an hour and a half. It's nice. I'm just scraping it down. I'm really pleased. It's already balled up. This is how sourdough is nice and sticky. And the motion of the dough is going to slowly peel away from the sides and ball up. Now if it continues to look like this, you'll see that this is a little too wet. 1 tablespoon at a time, we are going to sprinkle flour on it until it forms a nice ball. But I don't want to do it yet because I want to give it the opportunity to collect all the flour from the sides of the bowl and to ball up on its own. That was 1 tablespoon more of flour. Adding another tablespoon and another tablespoon on top of that because I want to get this party started. So after about a half a cup more, now you can see that it has formed a sticky ball on the dough hook, and we are going to allow this to knead now for an additional 10 minutes. Periodically, I will take it off of the top of the hook with my fingers and push it down. Like I said, it's a very sticky dough. So it's been kneading for about 10 minutes, and periodically I've been pushing it around and doing it up with my hands. So now I'm just pulling this out into my dough bowl, and I'm going to put that into the oven covered with a towel. And I have the oven, my oven will heat up just to 100 degrees. And then what I do is I turn the oven off just so that it has a warm place to rise. So there it is, cover it up. Make sure the oven's off and just a little warm. Put it into proof for an hour and a half. So I'll catch you back in an hour and a half. Okay, well, it's only been an hour, but take a look at this. It has really risen. So I'm gonna punch it down. So I'll give it another hour and we'll come back and it'll rise up again. Okay, see you in an hour. Okay, so my bread has come up again. Remember how it was before? It's huge. So I am going to form it into baguettes, and I'm actually going to make a couple of rolls. So I have my handy dandy kitchen scale here. This is cornmeal.
I found something.
We put the cornmeal down on my baguettes and on my non-stick surface. Okay, so when I handle the dough, I have to have all my surfaces lightly dusted with this cornmeal. And I want each loaf to be about 8 ounces. And when I'm handling it, I just want to very gently pull it and roll it, stretch it at the same time to make my baguette. And I'm kind of tucking it under while I'm doing it. And it kind of looks thin, but it comes up when we put it in to rise. So each one is going to be about 8 ounces. And then I just snip it in the center. Did that about 7 times. And then I put it back into my proofing oven to rise. But this time I cover it with a damp cloth. I don't want the cloth to wet the dough. And into our proofing oven. And we'll make all the baguettes that way. And let them proof for about 45 minutes. Okay, so these are just about ready to go into the oven. I just give them an extra little prick. We have to make sure that it's pricked because what will happen is the bread will split otherwise. So check back with me and I'll show you what they look like when they're done. So here we are around 12 minutes. And I'm just spraying the oven a little. Take a look at our buns, which I'm going to use as hamburger buns. And I've got a loaf down at the bottom. They're not quite done yet. Another 5 minutes. Okay, so here they are when they come out. They're beautiful. They look terrific. Just so you know, if they stick a little bit, just use a kitchen spatula to work them off. To keep them from getting too hard or too crunchy, what I'll normally do is I'll just take a slightly damp towel and wrap it, put them in a 350-degree oven just until it's warm inside. And then you get a beautiful, soft loaf of bread. Okay, well, enjoy.